Welcome back to AeroLab Tech Talks. Today we're going to be talking about the AeroLink software system.
Go slow!
Action. Action. While Kelly is removing his helmet and placing it on the desk out in front, I'm going to be doing a little bit of a walkthrough of our AeroLink app. This is an iOS app. The application is fairly straightforward to use. You download it onto your iOS device. I have an iPad here in front of me. And once you have a login, what you'll see in front of you are all of the athletes that you've tested in the past and all of the athletes that you might be interested in testing as you add them. So I'm going to select one of the athletes. When I select the athlete, that athlete will have a number of test configurations under his name. So each of those test configurations are different tests that the athlete may have made and different versions of tests. A good example of this would be, say, the athlete has a P-Series time trial bike, or say the athlete also has a road bike. They may have different configurations for different bikes or different helmets, things like that. So I can add a configuration or I can select a configuration. I'm going to select a configuration, the Cervelo P-Series, AeroLab testing, and under that configuration I'm going to put in the type of power meter he's using, the type of test that's being done. In this case we're going to be doing an outdoor test out and back. And the type of bike he is using. Also on this screen there's some notes that you can put in. And this is really specific to the user. I mean, Kelly, you've used the system quite a bit. You can talk about the types of notes you've put in.
You definitely want to put down things like what was the tire pressure, what wheels you were using, if you're testing body position, having good notes in there. So those detailed notes really help you to kind of create that same environment to retest accurately.
Exactly. So once you've finished entering in all of those notes, you can then move on and select that test configuration for the test that you're hoping to do. So I'm going to finish updating that configuration. I'm going to select a configuration and test that configuration. And when I'm ready to test that configuration, that'll bring me to a screen where I enter in the athlete's weight, the distance that I'm testing. The out and back might be 400 meters, 800 meters. Depends on the type of environment you have. You want to make sure you pick a nice, safe location for testing where you can see the athlete the entire time. You have low traffic conditions, a variety of things that will ensure that you're going to have a consistent test, a fun test, an enjoyable experience for both you and the rider.
And actually to that point, I guess two things is we have the capability of having the test really as a 400 meter, meaning 800 out 400 and 400 back. Upwards. So you can actually, you have the flexibility of finding a really good road. You might say this is good road, it's safe, it's so forth that you mentioned, but it happens to be less than a kilometer. That's not a problem with our technology. It just means really you just should do more laps, and it just increases the accuracy of your test capabilities.
So finishing out that testing page, you also need to select the power meter. So I can go ahead and select the power meter if it's active, and I can go ahead and select the aero sensor and the speed cadence sensor. They all come up in order. The first thing that comes up is the aero sensor, and then after that it searches for ANT devices and it'll find your speed cadence sensor and your power meter. So once you've connected to those, you can go ahead and go to the testing page. On the testing page, you're pretty much set to go. You can tell your rider once you've set the waypoint for where you're going to start.
Yeah, and this, if you haven't seen our earlier video, the first really formal one, there you'll see a bird's eye view of the kind of a good mapping system.
Yeah. We have this zone that we've marked off that is like a setup zone. That's also a zone where your rider needs enough leeway to be able to get up to speed, into position, comfortable before they hit that start point of their test, because you don't want your rider still putting in 500, 600, 700 watts, getting up to speed as he's crossing that start line, because he's going to be swaying differently. His body position is going to be changing while he gets up to speed. It's a really important factor to keep in mind. And the app itself, it is going to communicate with the rider. So he can be 100 meters up the road and and it's fine. The app will communicate directly with the sensor, directly with the Connect IQ app that we use to be able to communicate with the rider. So as soon as you hit start test, as the fitter, you hit start test, it'll communicate with your rider and it's time for him to go.
Yeah, and like to that point, as you're doing a series of out and backs and so forth, and you get into that setup zone, what I really like about the setup zone is if you're doing a lot of extensive testing that day, it gives an opportunity for the rider to take a break. So if you're, for example, we talk about your whole system weight, right? And that's a weighing of the entire rider, bike, bottles, if that's what he's planning on racing with. We don't want him drinking the water that's in his bottles, right? So we would often have a setup area.
Absolutely. When you finish your ride, you simply hit end test. After you've ended the test, it's pretty straightforward to then sync the data. It's just a simple button that you hit on the sync screen. That will transfer all of your data instantaneously to the app, and you'll be ready to take a look at your results, your CDA results. So when you're viewing these CDA results on the app platform, they'll be displayed to you digitally, also with graphs. So you'll be able to play around with what works for you. You can also add in test notes. If there was a particular lap that you didn't like, or or a car passed, or the rider got out of position and simply said he didn't like that lap, that's totally fine. You can mark that in the test notes, and you can mark the individual lap, and it will discard it from the analysis when it goes into our cloud-based online system.
Yeah, no, and I think we're kind of hitting all the points. I think maybe we should talk a little bit. This is the Pro Fitter system. A little bit about the engineering system. We have the capabilities, because we're running it at more than 1 hertz, we're running anywhere upwards of 20 hertz. The raw data is available for the engineering-based system.
That's right. Really simple in the app as well. It's a simple press of a button, and you can download the file, the raw data file, and use it in whatever way you would like. Some pro fitters may also be engineers, and they may be interested in it. Talk to us about that. Get in touch with us to be able to ask questions around how you can access the raw data. If you have your own little special algorithms that you like to play, I know play around with. I know some people do.
Yeah, and I think the last thing that I really like as a feature is that we can be doing a test in California. We've done a lot with a lot of elite athletes there. But Chris is able to be here in Calgary, Alberta, and he's actually seeing the tests within a few minutes based through our cloud system. So that's another feature where it allows for engineers a lot of flexibility. But so any ideas like that, feel free to put it down in the notes below. Definitely please like us and continue to follow us with our technology. Appreciate your time.